Well, hi, my name is Sean Bray, HEA's Vice President, and with me here is your President, Melanie McCool. Welcome to the Hypnosis Education Association's HypnoConnect, our monthly interactive meeting where we discuss the uses and benefits of hypnosis, the misconceptions and fears of hypnosis, hypnosis techniques, and where we feature hypnosis practitioners who share their expertise. Our mission is here at the HE is to offer knowledge and education of the nature, uses, and benefits of hypnosis to professional hypnotists and to the general public, to reduce misconceptions and fears about hypnosis, and to establish and promote a hypnosis code of ethics. Now, our method for that, we host an in-person conference each year featuring experts in hypnosis. Our educational events provide professional hypnotists with continuing education units like this one. Our public outreach committee submits monthly Associated Press releases about the positive uses and benefits of hypnosis, and we host monthly meetings like this one. Our members are adults with an interest in hypnosis, experienced and novice professionals, and retirees in the field of hypnosis. And we welcome members from all over the world. Now, our presenters share things they find are working for them in their hypnosis practice. Many offer special certifications or licensing to use copyrighted protocols, so be sure to ask before adopting. And today, you'll discover the power of understanding personalities. Learn how this skill enhances empathy, communication, and leadership, fostering positive relationships and teamwork. See how it boosts your client support capabilities, turning personality insight into your superpower. Our presenter today is Wayne Walker, a seasoned professional speaker and trainer. He excels in developing innovative programs in stress management, relationships, job performance, sales, and management training. As a certified hypnotherapist and master trainer of hypnosis, Wayne has profoundly impacted numerous lives through his expertise in analyzing personality types, human behavior, eye movement, and fear management strategies. His dedication to self-improvement and empowerment equips individuals and organizations with a unique blend of knowledge and skills for success. And now, give a warm HEA welcome to Wayne Walker as he presents Understanding Personalities is a Superpower.
Hey, Wayne. So wonderful to have you here. Just
Thank
a
you.
little,
Thank you.
yeah, just a little anecdote here before we get started and why I felt this was going to be such a powerful lesson for our members. We were chatting and you let me know that you have this, what you're about to share with us and the power of it's working with your clients. And it resonates with me because before I was a hypnotist, I was a behavior and motivators analyst with DISC. So the whole thing just like, I was like, oh, this is really, really powerful stuff. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to you. You are pinned. I'm going to make sure the video's videoing the way that it's supposed to. And do you have slides or are you just going to talk? And
I've got a couple of things to show, but I'll let you know when I'm going to pop them up there.
okay, then I'll make you the host so that's easy peasy. Awesome. All right.
Okay. So basically personalities, I've been using this system of personalities and understanding personalities for the last 30 years. And it came from this system, comes from Florence Littauer. And she was a trainer. She developed this system. She would go, her and her husband would go from church to church and present personalities to the congregations in order for people to understand why they are the way that they are and how they interact with each other and how they can build a better relationship by understanding those personalities. And basically letting people know that people don't wake up in the morning looking for ways to piss a person off. They just are the way that they are. Now, as I said, I've been using this for 30 years. I used it when I was a sales manager, a general manager. I've used it to train salespeople to better understand other people and how to develop rapport very quickly. But more so than that is to understand how a person operates. the way that they take in information, the way they react to information, and how they develop the relationship. Zig Ziglar used to say, it says, people who like each other tend to like each other. And what the understanding of personalities does is it gives us the tremendous ability to become almost like a chameleon, to where we can adopt the person that we're sitting in front of in order to gather that rapport. And then once we gather that rapport, then at that point there, we can lead them where we need to lead them. Okay. So what I'm going to do is this system, I'm going to explain very quickly, because I've got more notes here than I'm going to be able to cover today, just because it's so in depth. I would need a week to go through a lot of this stuff. But the 4 different personalities I'm going to explain goes all the way back to 2,000 years ago. It's the sanguine, the phlegmatic, the choleric, and the melancholy. And those personalities were tied to different parts of the body, and Hippocrates, I always can't pronounce his name. What's his name?
Hippocrates.
There you go. There you go. So with these personalities, the perceptions that a person has is their reality. And a person is who they are. It's the natural self that people live within. Okay. And it's like, as hypnotists, we make changes to a person's natural self to become, with those changes, for the subconscious mind to adopt them. Though once it's adopted, that becomes their natural self. They release other things that they assumed or that they created their natural self with, and they adopt a new natural self. And many times the people don't even realize it. Now, the people around them will realize it, because they'll see the changes, because the person will go through those changes, and it will be odd to a person looking at them. It'd be like a person that wakes up every day and puts on a red shirt, and they just show up with a red shirt. They do it every day, and all of a sudden they wake up one morning and put on a blue shirt, and they walk out and they go, "Oh my gosh, why do you have a blue shirt on?" And they look at them, "Well, what are you talking about?" "Well, you don't have a red shirt." "Well, yeah, I've worn the blue shirt before." So they adopt that. Now, with the personalities, learning this system, it gives me the ability very quickly on understand how to present information to people, and then for them to accept it once they go into hypnosis. And I'm able to get people and lead people into hypnosis very quickly and easily, because I understand their personality. For example, if you've got a type A personality, Melanie, we had talked about this before. You've got a type A personality, or a driver, which is the choleric, and I use different words, and I'll explain that here in just a moment. They want to be talked to in a certain way. If you talk to a driver as if they're an amiable, they're going to get very short-tempered very quickly, and they're going to get irritated, because that's not how they process information. Now, we have one of two ways of dealing with that. We can either adopt the driver or the choleric's personality in order to relate to them and develop that rapport, or we don't, and they're going to reject it. Okay. So we have to learn how to do that. And that's what these personalities do. And it allows us to get that rapport very quickly. Every person that I consult with takes a personality test. They take this personality test. On my website, I have a button that says personality test, and I direct people to that website or that button. It takes them 15 minutes to do it. They hit a button. I get a copy of that. And I get that copy before I even meet with them on the consultation. Okay. Now, the interesting thing about the personality test is it's a self-test. So therefore, it's a person is going to take that test as they have a perception of themselves. Now, that perception may or may not be right, but it will also show you whether they're masking or not. And that mask becomes very important part of how I deal with people when I work with them during a hypnosis session. Now, on the test on my website, what I also do is if I'm talking to a client and they mention mom or dad or their other brothers or sister or whatever, and I feel that that's an important thing, I'll ask them to go back and retake that test. But I ask them to take that test as if they are their father or if they're mother. I want them to assume that identity. And right there on the test that I have on my website, it has that information. I'm taking the test for my mom, my dad, my brother, my stepdad, blah, 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 blah. Because I want to understand the perception that they have of their caregiver that they grew up with. And once I have that, I can do a comparison between those two tests, and I can look at the dynamics between those two. And many times, very quickly, I can determine where the glitches are. And then once I get the information from the intake form and I read through that, then I've got some data that I can put together, and then I meet with them on my conference call, and I have a very good picture of what's going on before many times that I even talk to them. Okay. The perception.
Oh, can I just?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I love this because I've heard you say a few times, and every time you say it, I'm like, I should be doing it. I gave everyone a personality test before I worked with them, before I became a hypnotist.
Right.
I use it, of course. I use this type of information, and for myself, for my relationships, for the people that I hire, and certainly for my clients. I would love to know if you're calling it the mask. So the way I saw that and what I learned is there's one personality that shows up when they're really stressed. And that's probably what you're calling like the mask, or not real. It doesn't even have to be really stressed. It's like they're this personality to the world when they're stressed, but given, a relaxation of all this, this inner critic and all the stuff that's going on, they might actually be more inclined to be, more sanguine or anything else than what they're presenting with. So literally, the truth is personality is mutable. It is not a constant. And that's what people come in and they think, this is just who I am. But we know it's not true. So I love that you're.
Well, let me explain the mask to you, because what you're describing is exactly what we do on purpose, which means become a chameleon. So many times they naturally become a chameleon in order to survive in the environment. Okay, right. Whatever that environment is. And everybody does it to a certain extent. Now, the masking that I'm talking about is, let's say that mom and dad, let's say mom was a very strong and dominant individual. And as a child, children are still developing themselves. They're still trying to find out where they fit, and their personalities will develop naturally, hopefully, in a safe environment. But let's say that child is also developing into a strong personality or a driver or a caloric. That comes down to whichever personality is bigger wins. And in order to survive in the environment, that child, if they lose, may take the mask of an amiable and put it on in order to survive in that environment. And they automatically take on those traits to go into the cave and not come out until mom is okay. Okay. Now, they may be naturally a driver, but if they don't learn how to take that off as they get older, they're constantly battling themselves. And I have met and worked with 80-year-old women, older people who have worn that mask all their life, and they can't understand why the internal conflict, because that's what it creates. You have the battle of what they truly are versus the battle of what the mask that they've had to put on. So now how do I take that mask off or allow them to slough that mask off? And that's is where you have to be very careful. And the reason you be very careful is because if they've got relationships, if they're in that are stable, and all of a sudden that mask comes off, you can throw a dynamic into that relationship that can cause a lot of issues. And the last thing I want to do is cause a lot of issues with people. So there's many times that I'll talk to, I may ask to talk to the significant other, kind of prep them, see what they get, watch and this, and almost they become an advocate for me because they get to see behind the scenes, and I bring them in as a helper, and they feel good about that. So they can understand and accept the changes a lot more easily. But the perception of you, theirs, and so on and so forth is our reality. Our reality is our perceptions. And based on our life experiences, that perception is what you feel is true and what you want it to be true. Not necessarily what is true, but what you want to be true. And personality comes into that all the time. And if I can tap into that and get them to buy it, because the reality of it, here's the thing. I can meet a person and in about 3 minutes, I know exactly what kind of personality they are. I'm looking at their body movements. I'm looking at the way they're moving their eyes, how they hold their head, how they hold their body, the words that they use, the strength of their voice, and so on and so forth. I already know the personality test or the personality type. But the test, what it does is it gives me something tangible to go over with them and saying, look, here's some strengths, here's some weaknesses. You picked a weakness here. Why did you choose that word? Why do you feel you're this rather than this? And it gives me an opportunity to have them to explain a little bit about where they're, because a lot of times they may explain it and all of a sudden they go off and now the real reason comes out. Okay. And the more of the actual information that I have, be able to work with them once I get them into hypnosis, I know how to communicate with them as they're in hypnosis. And we all know if you communicate wrong, the subconscious mind is going to reject it. Okay. So I'm going to just ask this. So what I'm hearing you say is you use the personality test this as a way for them to explain, to tell you how they perceive themselves. Correct. You see them. We can read people, but you then see how they perceive themselves, and then you ask them, because there's certain how it's structured. It's going to have like those major points that people, are how we express ourselves in the world, right? So then you say, why do you feel this is weak? Let's just use that word, right? But you let them then give you the words that you get to turn around when they're in hypnosis. So it's like it's a powerful pre-talk tool, but they're more engaged in it because they actually they feel like they gave you the info. You're not just asking them then there. So right. I'm not making any assumptions. I'm not making a wild guess and say, hey, what about this? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And many times what happens is when I look at, if I'm working with a person and I see this person as a very logical, analytical type person, and they say they've marked on their scatterbrained, I want to know how they make that connection. When I see a very logical individual, why would you say scatterbrained? Okay. Well, when I was growing up, my mom always told me that I was scatterbrained, or I was this or this. Well, that ties in, and that becomes an imprint when they were a child, because children from the age of, by the time when they're born until they're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, they're in a constant state of hypnosis, or they're open and imprint because they have to learn survival skills, language skills, math skills very quickly. Okay. And it becomes an imprint, it becomes a known. And once that known is there, and once that curtain comes down over the subconscious mind, then that information is there, is how they're going to make decisions going forward, right, wrong, or indifferent. So if that's something that I want to look at, and I want to help them get rid of that and turn that weakness into a strength, then it's going to change the whole dynamics of how they see themselves and feel about themselves. Because when I have the first session with a client and I get back to them, or they get back to me within a couple of days, what I want to hear from them is, wow, I'm feeling a little bit different. I don't know how or why, or I felt better this morning, or I had this. I want those little tidbits, and that's what I want. That's what I want to hear, because if I hear that, then for me, it gives me the satisfaction that something is going on, and it's going on in a good way. So once you understand their personalities, you have the roadmap on how to lead them where they need to go and where you want them to go based on what their needs are and what their desire is to what they want to accomplish. But there again, we know that a person may come in and say, hey, I've got issue A, B, and C. And once you get into it, they don't have an A, B, and C issue. The A, B, and C are the symptoms. The issues, the E, F, and G over here under some leaves over there, that once you take care of this, the A, B, and C disappear.
I call those the decoy. So they come in with this decoy, and they've been walking around their whole life going, I've got an issue with my mom, right? Or just let's say it is. And then again, I know what my problem is. It's this. I've been talking to therapists about it for 100 years. And then you go, and then you get in there, and it's like, you realize that was a decoy all along. It's actually, there was some real hurt, and it had nothing, it was probably maybe it's dad or brother, or it doesn't even matter, but there is usually a decoy. I think my problem is this, and that literally sends the subconscious mind around in circles, rather the conscious mind, I should say. Conscious mind is going around in circles trying to solve this problem, and it's a decoy. So so you're saying that the decoy is over here, but the real problem's hiding under the leaves.
Right. I mean, that's and the personality test, because personality is, if you understand it, it will change the dynamics of your life and how you deal with everyone. And then you can use that as a superpower to help your clients self-reflect and give them that information and have those wow moments, because they use that word, wow. Okay, that's the number one word that I hear when a person comes out of hypnosis and they give their response or what they felt. It's like, wow, that was interesting, or wow, that felt good, or wow. It's that word. Okay, and it's a universal word. So but the process of self-discovery, with allowing a person to self-discover, is much more powerful than telling them what their issue is. And we know as hypnotists that a lot of times within a very short period of time, we know the issue. Okay? We know the issue. But it's that self-discovery that's going to make it stick.
Yeah, I equate it to, like, you might be able to tell a little child what you want them to do, but if you tell them, they're not going to do it. And just because you know what the issue is, you're telling the client, or even presenting it as a direct suggestion, it can come up, they can come up with resistance against it. But if you ask the right questions and
Right.
let their mind come to that conclusion themselves.
Like Brian says, the answer is always inside the client. Right on, Brian. Yeah.
Say that again. The answer is what?
The answer is always inside the client.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. I mean, we can coax it out.
Yes.
We can expose it, and we can present it in such a way that's, from a different perspective, to where they
or
can,
a metaphor.
yeah,
Yeah.
To where they can accept it. But they always have the answers. And a lot of times, they know the answer, but they don't want to accept the answer. They don't want to face the answer. They don't want to act upon the answer. whatever the case may be. But the personalities it's like the three-legged stool. Okay. Personality is one leg. The intake form is another leg. And the consultation is the third leg. And those three things give me enough information or give me the direction that when I create a program for them, and I don't do individual sessions. I do multiple sessions. I do packages, and I make the determination of how many sessions it's going to take with that individual. And I'm right 95% of the time. So I may say, hey, look, we're talking about 4 sessions. I put the email together, send it out. You tell me what you want to do. Here's the price. If you come to me and say, hey, well, can we do this in 3 sessions rather than 5? We're done. I'm not that. The plan is the plan. Okay.
Wait, are you a D?
Maybe.
No, I love it. No, I love that. But it's really important because that's actually part of leadership is part of what we get to do to help our clients.
Well, the one thing that I don't want to do is because if I say, okay, yeah, let's try it in 3, okay, then at the end of the 3rd session, what they hear is, oh, it's going to take 3 sessions.
Right.
And when it doesn't, they go, well, you told me, no. And then we have that whole, not doing that. Okay.
Right.
It's going to take 5, it's going to take 7, and on rare instances, I may say, it's going to take 10 sessions with you.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why. And I lay everything out and you can accept it or not accept it. And here's the price for that. And 90% of the time, they're going to come back and say, okay, what's the next step? The price is not the issue. You have to present the solution to them and they have to be comfortable in that solution. And once they're comfortable in that solution, then at that point the money is a non-issue.
Mm-hmm.
The money becomes a non-issue. But the personality gives me the key to start with people to develop that rapport. And I tell people, I teach them, I try to get them to understand what your daughter, your son that you have issues with home, what kind of personality do you think they are? Mm-hmm. Well, they're this and this and this. And I can give them, say, here's a suggestion. Deal with them in this way instead of this way. Adopt their personality. Use the words they use to you. Use the emotion they use with you and get that rapport. And let me know how that works out for you. And many times they'll send me a text or make a phone call and say, that was absolutely amazing. My son is now opening the door for me. Whereas before he'd walk through the door and leave the door hanging. It's like something has been triggered. Well, part of it is that, but part of it is the way you changed how you relate to your kids.
Yeah, I use this a lot for business people in terms of so that they know how they're communicating, and I know what my weaknesses are in communicating. I know what my weaknesses are,
Right.
But since I know what my weaknesses are as a business person, then I can have other people who are around me who fill those roles much better than me, and that's a strength. On the flip side of that, I also have clients who come in, and whether it's in business or in life, they present as a personality, and whatever their personality is right and good and strong for them. You know what I mean? That's who they are. But for whatever reason, they're judging themselves because they're not like that personality over there. So having this understanding that, there's basically 4 types, there's blends and it comes in and out, but without these 4 types, the world would really just fall apart. Like if there was nothing but a bunch of D's running around, it'd be really,
absolutely. Yeah.
It'd be horrible. And
Yeah.
if we didn't have the analytics and what we use different
the amiables and the expressives.
Right. Okay. So amiables would be the S, that is my guess. Analytics C, S is amiables, and the expressives would be I's. Got it. Perfect. If we didn't have those people, the world would fall apart. So I help them to recognize what their strengths are as the personality that's dominant, and to stop being like, I should be like the expressives. I'm like, you're probably just not. And that's okay.
Well, with the
But what do you do that they aren't great at? She's like, well, I
absolutely.
get stuff done differently. And I'm like, well, then step into that leadership and let it go.
I've got a client right now who came to me that he wanted to be he has a business, he wants to build his business, but he also has a job. He has a sales job.
Mhm.
Okay. And he is an amiable. Okay.
Yep.
And he texts me in the morning, says, he says, I'm feeling sick. I don't want to go to work. Well, his job as a salesperson is to be direct, is to be demanding, is to be say things that may be hard for him for people to accept, but he's got to do that because that's his role.
Yep.
And I told him, I said, you're in the wrong job.
Yeah.
I said, if you're in the wrong, if you're doing it for money, you're in the wrong job. It's not matching your personality here. So one of two things have got to happen. We either work together for me to be able to give you a coat to be able to change your personality. That when you walk through those doors, you're a different person, which has to be short term because you can't sustain that for long term. Or you need to be looking for a different job and figuring out how you're going to do that thing. Because we can do all the hypnosis in the world, but if your subconscious mind is consistently telling you, I hate this job, I hate that, you don't need to be here, that's not going to work. That's a wrong message to send. And you're going to be spending a lot of time on something that's not going to get the results that you want. And you're going to end up paying me for money that I'm not really comfortable with because of my ego. And my ego is I want success. Okay. If I'm not going to have, if I don't have success with the person, I don't want your money because I don't want you to leave and say, well, I tried that and it didn't work. And that, because we know how that whole, I don't want to do that. Okay. The dollar is just not that important to me for that. Okay. Although money is right up there with air, but there's conditions to it. So that personality test is critical for what I do. And I use it with my wife all the time. As a driver, my wife is an expressive. Okay. And my wife, if she doesn't come to me 14 times a day and say, can you call my phone? Because she set it down somewhere and lost it. And it's right there on the counter. Or she's lost her keys because she doesn't know how to put them in the spot look. I'm sensing there's some things.
Both equal.
Well, yeah, you're a driver expressive. Now
I'm actually equal and given
right.
And given and and even the natural versus the stressed, it doesn't even, I literally like equal. It's odd. It's and almost nothing in the other, like zero the others.
Well, I knew what you were when I saw a video of you dancing. Okay,
right. That's
because a true driver, a true driver will not be out there doing dancing. Not going to happen. Not he'll watch.
Yeah.
And he'll sit back and look cool, but he's not. He's not, because expressives want to have fun. They want to be the center of attention. If you tell her it's expressive, you got to clean the garage today, they're going to call friends over to help them, and they're not going to do it because it's going to turn into a party. And there you go. Okay. And these are all things that once I get in front of my client and I tell them these things about their personality, they look at me like I'm a psychic. And it's not that, it's just understanding the personality. Because people will tell you how they need to be talked to. You just have to listen.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Wayne. Are you okay with us opening for questions now?
Absolutely.
I have one because it goes back to what you were saying earlier, which is, and whether it's about personality or not, when somebody comes into our practice and they have personality traits that are really caustic, they know that they're jeopardizing their relationships, right?
Mhm.
And they come in because they want to be free of this. And they know that it's patterns that have been maybe even generational, multi-generational. They just want to be done with it. And so when I talk to them, I tell them, you are going to change, but the people around you are going to be really confused and may not believe you. And they may keep trying to push your buttons because they got into this boat with that caustic person. They're used to it. So, there's these relationships that are going on that aren't real healthy, and they're going to walk out healthier and back into the environment. And I tell them, look, the people around you, it may take some time. That your neuro pathways are changing. You're literally changing. Your reactions are changing. But it may take some time for them. So how do you address like that dynamic, knowing that, let's just keep it at something simple. You got anger issues, and now they're like, no anger. I'm amazing, but my family doesn't believe me. They think I'm an imposter.
Well, and I do address that, and I address that in two ways. First off, when I'm in the consultation, I tell the people that when you go through the process of hypnosis, it is going to affect every aspect of your subconscious mind. Even though you may be saying, I need to work on something in this particular corner here. It's going to have a ripple effect throughout the subconscious mind. And a lot of times it will self-correct a lot of things by that ripple effect. However, there may become up where you got a scratch in the record, so to speak, that it's too great that it can't get past. And we'll know that, and it'll pop up, and we'll deal with that when the time comes. But you're not going to be the same person in 30 days. It's an impossibility for you to go through this process and the subconscious mind accept the new programming, the new suggestions, and it actively putting things in place. It is impossible for you to remain the person that you are today. Impossible. Okay. That's the first thing. I said, the second thing is the people that are around you, you have to make a determination of what kind of people that you're hanging around with. And there are two types of people in this world. And those two types of people are, one is you got crab people, and the other are balcony people. And the crab, if you've ever seen a bucket of crabs, you don't have to pull the lid on a bucket of crabs, because when one tries to crawl out, the others are going to pull it back down. And these are the people that are going to try to pull you back into the norm, their norm, because once you start changing, you're going to expose to them something that they're not going to be comfortable with. And that's their weaknesses of their growth, because they may say, you can't do this because of this, and you'll never be this, and blah, 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 blah. Well, those are the crab people. Now, the balcony people are the people that are above you, that are reaching down, pulling you up and saying, look, you're a smart person. You can do this. What can we do to help? What kind of support do you need? They're the ones that want to pull you up. And I got a news flash for you. You're going to have more crab people in your life than you do balcony people. And even right now, you're going through your mind and you're figuring out who those crab people are and who the balcony people are. And then at the end of that, take a wild guess of which one you need to be hanging around with more. That's the balcony people. Now, does that mean you kick the crab people to the curb? No. Okay. No. You love them, you care for them, or whatever. But what will happen is, because of your shift, your paradigm shift, your growth, you're either, one of two things are going to happen with this. You're either going to cause them to repel you, and they're just going to waddle off sideways as a crab does and disappear, or you may become their balcony person, because they are going to want to achieve this and move up with you. Now, if that's your role and you recognize it and understand it, then God bless you. But you need to surrender. My grandmom always told me, he says, you want to get a cold, get around a person with a cold, you'll catch a cold. You want to get in trouble, get around people get in trouble, you'll get in trouble. Okay? So the people that we associate with can either weaken us or make us stronger. But those are decisions that you're going to have to make. And a lot of times, those crab people are the people they sleep next to.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And that, that again comes to the mask, creating issues within there, how do I circumvent? Because I don't want to, I don't want to destroy a person's relationship or be a catalyst in that. So how do I do it? And that's why I say a lot of times I may ask them on your next session, can you bring your wife in? Can you bring your husband in? Because I need to get some information from them. Now, what I really want is for them to listen, follow my instructions, and don't muck things up what we're trying to accomplish here.
Hmm.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So when you are doing the personality assessment, right? And let's say that red flags start throwing up. What do you do with so-called disorders? You know,
What do you mean disorders?
well, I mean, if you're assessing somebody and you think that, well, I mean, NPD or
Like they'd be wearing a major mask.
right, major mask.
Okay.
Is it still the same thing for you? The same approach?
Same thing. Same thing. It depends. Now, I may approach them from a paternal position of being a little bit more, or a paternal, a little bit more forward with them. And there are some people that, I tell, and my language can get flowery sometimes, but I want to make that connection and I want them to understand. Okay. But, if I accept them as a client, it's because I know that I'm going to be able to have an impact on what's going on.
And do you let them know what you know?
Well,
Sometimes I may feed it to them over a period of time.
Right.
I may send them a text message, just kind of, hey, I haven't heard from you. I know that you're, going through this or whatever the case may be. I may spoon feed it to them a little bit. I kind of have to hold things close to the vest, or that, and then I use it as needed as
Okay.
long as I can get a benefit out of it.
Yeah, I just want to hop in here because as in my training, there are definitely levels that are out of scope. So if somebody showed up, and I've only had a couple because they just kind of lie to you, I've had a couple people show up in my practice who were wearing major masks initially, and then I just realized that they were not somebody that should ever even be in my presence, let alone in my chair. So there's out of scope means out of scope. But I think that in what you're saying is sometimes people really need a different type of treatment based
Different
on
approach.
different approach.
Right.
You're treating them different, not treatment.
Right.
Let me use the right language here. But the way that you treat them will vary. So we've got some questions in the chat as well. And one is Spencer, and Spencer, what do you do if the person is ready and willing and lines up and their husband or wife, their significant other, is not on board in support of them at all? So what do you do if they're like, no, they won't come here. They don't support me. They don't support.
And before you answer that, I want to let everybody know that you can unmute yourself and,
Yes, please do. Just
put
hop on
yourself
out.
on video and ask the question
Yeah.
to Wayne. But if you'd rather, you can put it here in the chat, or you can just put in the chat that I'd like to ask a question, and that way we know,
You can unmute yourself.
right? Okay, so
Yeah.
Well, if a person tells me that, and I've had a lot of clients do that, they'll just say, my wife is not going to, she doesn't believe in this. We're Christians and she thinks it's evil, or whatever the case may be. And they don't know. And I leave that up to them. However they want to handle that is I'll deal with it. But I don't take it as a major issue. The thing that I work on, and I had one today, a consultation today, and he scheduled it and he didn't fill out any of the information. Okay. He was a know-it-all. I want to, yeah, I know all about this and this. I want to, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, you didn't fill out the information. Oh, I didn't have time to do that. I said, oh, okay. So we had a very short consultation. I said, look, I'll need you to fill that information out, go to my website, take the personality test, because if they can't follow those instructions, then I'm pushing a wet noodle if I take them as a client. And I don't push wet noodles. I'll lead them all over the table, but I can't push it. So that's more important to me than how the dynamics over there. Now, what I have found more often than not is that as they go through their change, the significant other all of a sudden starts softening up and wanting to know, because there becomes a fear factor there. And that fear factor is that they're moving a little higher here and they don't even know it. It's a dynamic. Okay. And they're trying to be the crab person, bring them back, and they're continuing up and they're becoming more strong. They're becoming more this. Their issue is starting to dissipate away. And a lot of times I'll get a phone call from the spouse and go, hey, I'm so-and-so. Don't tell him or don't tell her that I'm calling, but I want to know a little bit about what's going on and how it can maybe help me. Okay. That happens probably about 50% of the time, if I had to put a percentage on it. But I don't really focus on that because it's just not important to me. I just kind of, okay, however you want to take care of it at home, that's completely up to you.
Awesome.
So Spencer had asked, what do you use for the personality test? And we responded, let everybody know. It's in the chat. If you haven't seen it, you can go to Wayne's website and check that out. And now, let's see, Charles has a question, and I think he's going
yes, I have a question.
There he
Something interesting that you said, Wayne. With the personality assessments, you gauge on how many sessions you have for a client. You set out that program. How are you so successful in knowing how many sessions between, whether it's 3 sessions, 5 sessions, 10 sessions, or however?
Well, I use the personality test as a way to gauge on how to communicate with them and how the rapport that I get with them. The information, then through the consultation and then my intake form back, I'm looking at that and I'm making a determination of how many sessions. Okay. The minimum I do with people is 3. However, the minimum I do with people is 4 because I haven't done just 3 sessions in a long time. Okay. The maximum I do with a person, the high end, is 10. Okay. That's more the exception rather than the rule, the 9-10 area. So really it's between 4 and 8 sessions. And I'm going to make a determination based on what I know. And I'm playing out in my mind of what the first session, I already know what's going to happen. Second session, we're going to cover this. Third session, and I'm going to go out, extrapolate out there. Then I'm looking at the time between the sessions. The first 3 sessions, I don't want any more than 4 days between the first session, second session, and the third session. So 4 days and 4 days. And then after that, I can push it out a week. So, I'm looking at 6 weeks over the period of time of doing 7 sessions, because the more time that I give on the back end, the stronger the subconscious mind becomes. And I provide them with an audio recording that they have to listen to every day, because that's a reinforcement to what I'm trying to do. And I can tell when they're not listening to the recording. When they come in, I can tell they're not listening to that recording. And I'll ask them, when's the last time look, we're talking about a 15 or 20-minute recording here. For you to take 30 minutes out of your day to self-center yourself, to get for your time. This is your time. And to just allow yourself to be and just listen. Now, that's not a hard thing to do. And if you're not listening to that recording, you're making my job harder. And when you make my job harder, I'm not a happy camper, because I like results here.
And
I
if
go
you
with it.
I have one more question. If you mind me
go
asking,
ahead.
which personality test do you use? Because I believe there's like 8 to 10 main ones.
Well, here's the thing. There's a personality test for the personality test nowadays.
Right.
Okay. The one that I use is from Florence Littauer, and it comes out of her book, Personality Plus. And she's written several books. She's since passed away. She was 90 some odd years old when she passed away 3 or 4 years ago. Her daughter has now picked up the mantle, and she's got a book out there. Uh, uh, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I've got it. But anyway, I know the daughter. Her name is Miretta Letauer.
You can get that to us and we'll post it.
But I used that, and I went to Jot Form,
Mhm.
and I had somebody create the Jot Form to be able to automate it, so it would automatically send it to me, and I take it and I put it in their file once I receive it. So I have access to that at all times. So it's a very direct, simple 15-minute personality test. Not complicated. Are there other ones out there? Yeah, but I like simplicity.
Me to read
Yeah,
that?
go
Thank you, Wayne. I
Okay, so
appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Charles.
Georgina has a question. She says, is this a common practice adopted by hypnotherapists to integrate a personality test into the intake process? She says it's not something she was aware of, although she is aware of tests. She likes the idea and is just wondering.
That's why you're here.
Well, the rules are there are no rules. Okay, it's based on how you want to be presented to the client and how life experiences for you, because look, we're all different. It's like my granddad used to say, there's 100 ways to skin a cat, and they're all right because the cat gets skinned. Now, some are messier than others, okay, but they're all right. Okay, there are no rules. So whatever tool that you need or think that you need to help that client, then I think you should adopt. And I'll give you a real good example. When I went to school for hypnosis and got to the part about past life regression and started learning about that, I thought it was cute. I thought it was a bunch of hooey, and I just glossed over it. And I said, I'm not using this nonsense. Okay. However, about 7 years ago, I had a client that I just could not get where I needed to be. So I contacted a buddy of mine who's a hypnotist, told him what the situation was, and out of his mouth is, have you considered a past life regression? And I said, no. And he explained to me why I should have, and it made sense. So I went back, I did it, brushed up on my past life regression, pulled my notes out, did the past life regression, having no idea what I was doing. She got done. She left. She called me 2 days later, and she goes, that was the most amazing session. I have never felt better. And I go, oh, okay, well, I meant to do that. So
That's so powerful. Thank you.
okay, so I went back and I started researching, and now the past life regression tools is in my toolbox, and I use it when I need it. Now, I'll have people contact me and say, hey, I want to do a past life regression. Can we do a past life regression? And I'll go, yeah, we can do that. We're going to do 3 sessions, and I'm going to charge you $1,200 to do it. And and we're going to have a good time. Okay. And you can be Cleopatra. You can be whoever you want to be. And now that, okay. There's that person. And then there's the person that I'm doing my sessions with that I will say, we need to do a past life regression on you. And here are the options. The past life regression is not included in the packages of sessions that I put together for you. Okay? Because when we do a past life regression, once that's done, we are going to have other things that are going to need to be addressed. And I don't want to burn up a session in your package for the past life regression. And this is one of the few times that I come to them and say, okay, you're going to have to pay for the past life regression session, but I am going to make it so easy for you to say yes that it's going to be a non-issue. And I may charge them $75. I may charge them $100 for that session, and I'll present it to them. And 100% of the time they go, yeah, I want to do it. And 100% of the time there are results that come out of that. Okay, because I'm not there to prove or disprove whether anything they come up
course
with or
not.
lived or whatever the case may be. Although studies have shown, people who delved into it, there is truth in those things. And I can tell you from experience of having gone through a past life regression because of all of this, that it totally freaked me out, that I swore I'd never do it again. Okay.
I love.
So,
Oh, sorry. Just
no.
before we go to, hopefully it's in the same line.
No, I was
Keep,
saying-
keep your mind.
maybe.
Keep it. But I love what you said about, because we all do. I think when you're a certified master trainer too, right? So part of that, with the hours that people do, it's definitely not just all hypnotherapy stuff that they're, or hypnosis stuff that they're studying. Like they bring to that their classes. It might, in whatever it is they're studying, you know, they might be watching Joe Dispenza's work, or, you know, reading books on past life. They can do anything. We bring to our practice our life experience, and therefore what we're interested in. And it's all right.
Yes.
It is all right and good. And the client that found you is going to get exactly the experience that however it is that they found you. And I think just with that, I would say, how many times have people come into your office that are experiencing things that you are like, how on earth are you coming to me for the thing I got over myself? Over and over and over
Yeah.
and over and over again.
And how many times has a client been coming in and it's like you get new information 30 minutes before they get there, and you're having to go through and figure out, all right, this changes the whole dynamic of what I need to do.
Right. Yeah.
And you may be trying something new for the first time and you're going, oh shit, I don't know how this is going to work out.
And it works out amazing.
And it works out fine because
Yeah.
they don't have a yardstick to measure anything
Nope.
against.
Yep.
You're the expert. And the number one thing that we as hypnotists have to have is confidence.
That's
The
right.
confidence in doing you as long as you present yourself exteriorly with confidence, you may be eaten up inside, but as long as you can fake it and have them as, hey, absolutely, I got this. Don't worry. You don't worry until you see me worry. Fair enough? Good enough. And you may all be on the inside like, oh shit, I'm worried.
Yeah.
But you don't present that, and it works through, and you have success with that person because it just
Because you
works
see
out.
you see it done.
You see the
You see it
transformation.
done. It's already there. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of this thing that has to happen in between. And what met there, or what you're saying, is almost, I mean, it's not irrelevant. Our training is very relevant, but we see them on the other side. And it is our holding that space and then doing the things in between that we know help them to get there. But there's something to it. It's definitely not just a skill.
So Wayne, let's see, Spencer was asking, and I'm going to add to Spencer's question here.
Sure.
He asked, would you be willing to provide a copy of the form you use for those of us that are no techie and want to integrate it into our funnel and process? And I have a question to go further with that. Do you offer training on this?
Yeah, when I do hypnosis training for people, this is I spend time on this
Okay.
for them because I think it's that important.
And to that, as far as Spencer's question, are you willing to provide a copy of the form, or is that something that's,
which form are you talking about? You talking about the
He's talking about
personality
the
test?
JOT form.
I think probably about the survey, the assessment.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean that's just in my yeah, I got no problem with that. If anybody wants a copy of the JOT form, I'll be happy to supply that. What you have to do, because I'm technical, I'm comfortable around computers, but I have somebody attach the JOT form to do all that. I don't have time to want to know how to do it, because if I know how to do it, I'm going to want to do it, and I don't have time. I don't have enough time to do what I need to do. So, but I can supply that file. I get no problem with that, you know, because that thing is paid for itself and then some, you know.
So Brian posted a quote. It's not your expertise that heals people, it's your humanness. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Thank you.
Yeah,
Brian.
I mean, it's how vulnerable, sometimes that we're willing to be with people that creates that even deeper connection,
Mhm.
I mean, because there's been times that, a person walks out of the office and it was a very, very emotional and tiring, that connection, that empathetic connection, that it's almost like, I need emotional release. Okay. Because of the experience. And, it's what we've chosen to do.
It
And if
is-
you've chosen to do this,
Yep.
you owe it to them as you owe it to yourself to use as many tools as necessary to get the results that that they can have. Okay.
I think we may have one more question. If anyone can please share links to a good free personality test. Sure, we can do that. So
So, Georgina, why don't we do this? We'll have to post this video recording in the HEA group because for whatever reason, Zoom wouldn't let me stream it. But we'll get it posted and we can put this discussion in the comments so that we can post.
and that way
links
Wayne
to-
can see these questions and
Because
respond to them.
There might
Others
be
may.
others who
right.
have, I know I used free disc, actually for a long time. I had a membership, but it cost me a certain amount each time. And I was like, and then I realized that Tony Robbins has one. And so I was like, hey, you're going to take this and send me the results. And then you're going to get some stuff from Tony Robbins, but that's okay, right? It like use Tony's. So I think maybe if you go to tonyrobbins.com/disc, but that was like years ago, but they're out there. But there might today, it's literally like 6 years later than when I would use those. There might be a plugin. There might be a app. There might be something it doesn't cost anything and you can use it and, bless yourself and your clients. So
Well, we really appreciate all of you being here. Wayne, thank you so much.
Thank you
Does
so
anybody
much.
else have any other questions? Because if not, we're going to throw some other slides up here on the screen.
let's just see everybody who's still here. Not everybody's on screen, but see everybody in gallery
Some
view.
people have
Thanks
to
for
take
being
off.
here. All righty. So with that, then let's thank you, Wayne, so very much for
You're
being
very
here.
welcome. I enjoyed it.
Thanks,
All
Wayne.
right.
Appreciate it.
All right. So with that, here we go. We did the Q&A.
Q&A.
Oh, Kat just got here. I think she's here in the wrong hour.
Oh, no. Well,
Yeah.
you can see it in the replay.
Yeah.
Like Melanie said earlier.
Two people just got here.
Zoom didn't work out and either Zoom or Facebook, but we're going to get it into the group.
Yes.
But right now you should see on your screen a call for presenters, HEA's annual conference, and this Hypno Connect. We're always on the look for new presenters. So if you think you have something to offer our community, by all means, please do visit our website. It's the Hypnosis Association, Hypnosis
Education.
Association. I'm like, .com/conferences. And then let's keep going on with the next slide.
I think it might have just tried to die on me, honey.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's fun, right?
Is everything going to do that?
Stop share. Just a moment. Technical details
Let's try it
here.
again.
Let's try this again. Let's just click this little thing and open up the file. And there it is again. Woo! All right. Hi, Kat. I think got an hour off here, so you have to catch the replay. But welcome
To the next slide.
All right, next slide, please. There we go.
We also, we might could use some help up in here.
For sure.
If anybody would like to volunteer for a committee chair position, for events, meetings, diversity, public outreach, social media moderators, and anything that you would think of, by all means on that one too, please do contact us with the information there you see on the screen.
Yeah, I'll just add, Hypnosis Education Association is a not-for-profit organization, so it's run by volunteers. We're volunteers. And even if you took it upon yourself to check in on the group a couple times a week and comment on what's going on in there and add to the conversation, that works. It's a public group, and you can always share from the group to your pages so that other hypnotists or people who are interested in hypnosis might find our group. So thank you.
And on. So again, we really appreciate you being here. We'll be here again next month, and it's every first Wednesday of each month at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to do our very best to, I mean, I don't know what else we would do to get it to stream, but
We will get it to
working
stream.
on that. Now, Wayne had mentioned, about confidence being like up there in the top qualities that a hypnotist needs to have when working with clients, and 100% agree. And have you ever felt the pressure of trying to perform a one session miracle, or maybe you found yourself stuck in a session wondering, what in the world do I do now? Well, if you join us next month, we will have Sharon Jackman here with us, and she's going to be presenting a very cool presentation called Outrageous Confidence, a solution to a $3.9 million problem.
Wow.
I mean, that's precise. You got to like that. And Sharon is a brilliant speaker, brilliant human being, and we really look forward to having her.
With 30 years experience in
Yeah.
hypnosis. So we're really grateful to have her join us.
So once again, we really appreciate you all being here. And last but not least, if you're not a member of HEA, please join. As Melanie said, it's not for profit organization. And the membership fees that come in, they're used to, right now we're doing a lot with, we're ramping up to do a lot with press releases and working with the media to get, shine a positive light on hypnosis. And membership bonuses, you get conference fee discounts, CEU opportunities, complimentary educational materials, with everything you see here on the screen, and a community of like-minded individuals that like to share the things that are working in their practice and listen to what you have to say also. So,
Awesome.
Melanie, any other last
No,
words?
I'd like to look at them in gallery view again because that's more fun.
Oh, Dawn. Hey, Dawn.
Don's here,
Our
Brian's
secretary's
here.
joined us.
Hey,
All right.
awesome. So if you would, if anybody would like to just hop off, I would love to just end this by literally let me hear your voices, and then we'll wrap up. Let us know where you've tuned in from, because I know Georgina's here and it's like 3 a.m. or something. So just pop off your mute button and let us know where you're coming from. Go ahead, Georgina.
Yeah, it's UK. It's just after 12, so it's 12:30.
Oh, it's not quite that bad.
Not
Okay.
too late,
Awesome.
yeah.
All right.
Late,
Awesome.
not too late, but it's been really good. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. And Wayne's here from Texas. Don Byrne.
Great state of Texas.
And I'm here from Vero Beach on the Atlantic side of the state.
Awesome. Welcome, Don.
Hey, Don. Well, once again, thank you very much,
Stay tuned.
Wayne. Really appreciate you showing up here today and sharing, your information about personalities. Very, very interesting.
Spencer.
Oh, Spencer, hey.
Hey, Spencer Sen from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Awesome. And Brian's here from
Alberta, Canada.
Awesome. Welcome, Brian. All right. Awesome. To all of you, I will see you here, same place, same time next month. I hear from Sharon. Thanks for joining us.
All right,
All
take
right.
care.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.